good place for sure. Well, we'll get into all of that. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out. And
Yeah.
I'd like to begin our conversation. We're going on the 4-year anniversary of this pandemic. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, how did you survive the pandemic and how did it subsequently change you?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I am in the online coaching space, and at the time, I had a lot of focus on fitness and nutrition for home solutions. So, if anything, I was one of the businesses that boomed during the pandemic. People
Yeah.
were looking for at home solutions, they were looking for additional ways to earn income. So, a lot of my coaching centered around that. And at the time, I didn't have any children yet. I was in a long-term partnership, so a lot of great growth came out of it from me. I got to spend that time when everybody was homeschooling their kids. I got to learn new skill sets. I got to take, the courses that I wanted to take. Where I really felt the bumpy transition, if you will, which I think a lot of your people can relate to as well, is almost coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
The 1 to 2 years that we were home, depending on what your circumstances were, we were in the pressure cooker. We were just in it. We didn't really have any other choices than to stay at home, to put the mask on, to do all the things. What I have found for myself and even for my clients coming out of the pandemic has had a lot of the growing pains. A lot of the businesses that saw a lot of expansion during the pandemic, conversely saw a lot of constriction coming out of it, because now people do want to leave their house again. They, whether you see it a lot with, say, like if you were a company that made masks, there's not a huge demand on masks now. And I think a lot of people are now coming out of the effects of how do we relate to each other again? How do we, especially for people who are in long-term romantic relationships, whether you're married or living with your partner, like it either kind of made you or break you during that time.
Yeah.
So that's really like the big trends that I'm seeing coming out of it.
That's very true because I've even noticed there's a show on Netflix called Beef, and it's about a road
Okay.
rage incident. And I've
Yeah.
noticed since everybody got back out, there's things that have just been amped up. I mean, there's always been incidents on the road, but it seems like there's just all of these little epicenters of things that are
Yeah.
happening that didn't happen before, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even after the George Floyd incident happened, which was pretty early on in June,
Mhm.
everybody had been caged up for like 3 or 4 months. And you
Yep.
had all these protests, and people are like, well, what do we have to lose? We had to stay
Yeah.
inside this whole time. So there's just this psychology that goes into it, which is why I think there's such a focus on mental health. It's like,
Yeah.
because it's definitely a part of our fabric now as a country, so to speak,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Absolutely.
which, only boost what you're doing because you're helping people through it. So let me get a better handle on exactly what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the kids
Yep.
says, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that
Yeah.
child?
Okay. The short answer is I am a performance coach for creatives. So if I
Yeah.
said that to third graders, I'd say, you know how you want to run and paint and play on the playground all day? I'm going to let you have that expression. And I'm also going to help you get your homework done
Yeah.
and get you an A on the test. That's how I would say it to third graders. I work with a lot of creative entrepreneurs, and what that means is, um, people who own their own businesses in, say, web design, artists, writers, people who have wellness businesses, whether it be brick and mortar or online in the content creation space. The education space online right now is the biggest booming industry, and everybody wants to get in and they want to be the next influencer, educator, content producer, or e-commerce person,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't have the business skill set to go into that. So my background is I have run both a successful brick and mortar. I was in the wellness space for many years. And then I applied that business for the past 8 years online. So pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic.
Yeah.
So although I am a certified life coach, I find that a lot of my clients, they want to have a great quality of life, emotional management, productivity hacks, but they're also like, can we also talk about my business numbers also?
Yeah.
So that's primarily what I do.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Oh, I wanted to be an actress. I was a theater kid.
Okay. Okay.
I was a theater nerd for most of my upbringing.
Okay. So where were you born and raised? How did the seeds of helping people and growing, as a professional, how did all of that kind of become who you are today?
Yeah. I'm originally from New York, but I would speculate that I moved around quite a bit as a kid, non-military related. My parents weren't criminals on the run or anything, but we did happen to move around quite a bit.
Yeah,
And so I think if I really look backwards and connect the dots, I had to really adapt and learn and to make new friends in every different kind of ecosystem throughout the United States.
yeah.
So I've had, I guess, whether it's been a natural knack or a learned knack of getting to really see and know people that are in front of me. Like one of my big values in my profession is that people feel seen and heard, because I think that so often that's like really our big life theme as to what we want to do here.
Well, I mean, they talk about that with travel too. When you see different cultures and different people, it
Mhm.
increases your intuitive awareness. It increases this social
Mm,
emotional intelligence. Do you
yeah.
think that that really was kind of emboldened in you because you moved around so much around the country?
I think so. I think so. And we had like a pretty, I don't want to say tumultuous upbringing. I had like a no big trauma in my childhood. We dealt a lot with a lot of financial scarcity and the ups and downs that went with that. So I saw how much stress finances could play on a family.
Yeah.
And with what our snapshot is right now economically, I see it a lot with my clients. And so working through that to have both the emotional management tools to deal with that doesn't just run your life, and then also how to make some more money.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
who's been the driving force? Who's been a hero or an inspiration for you?
Good question. I I had my first personal growth, personal development experience. I had never read a self-help book ever in my life.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about the industry. This was probably 11 years ago. Someone invited me to a 3-day long Tony Robbins seminar. And for any of your people who are familiar with this, it's like a 16-hour long day, rah, rah. You walk across the fire coals. I
Yep.
quite literally drank from the fire hose.
Mhm.
And it was really profound. It was really profound. I still to this day think he's one of the greatest personal development teachers of our time. I feel really fortunate that I've gotten a big smattering. So I like to learn from people like him, from Brendan Burchard, from Mel Robbins, that really help, like I talked about, in that productivity side.
Yeah.
But I also kind of have like a pretty woo side, and I'm very open to alternative healers and astrology and mediums and that type of thing as well.
You know, I remember being a kid and seeing Tony Robbins and seeing him be this self-help guy. And it was around the same time that there was all these preachers that were,
Yeah.
just like over the top. And I just
Yeah.
thought it was a fad when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
and he's the guy. He's the one that's been around.
Mhm.
Everybody loves him. And it's like in
Yeah.
this cancel culture that we live in, to have somebody like that that's consistently been there and that has adapted and changed and he's a real dude. Because it's not all like everybody thinks that in the motivational realm there's this unicorn shroud that goes over it.
Right.
But he tends to be a real guy. He's just very disciplined and he's just
Yeah.
trying to help people get to where they want to go. He's very mission driven. Like he
Yeah.
knows what he wants to do. And you know, he seems like the guy that's not like, I'm gonna make 1 million today. I just want to like help people out and the
Yeah.
money's gonna come,
Yeah. That's the
you know.
impression I get as well. And I've
Yeah,
like done a few things in his world. Yeah.
yeah. That's wild. So if you could meet, you may have already answered this, but if you can meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would that be?
Oprah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oprah. I think she has the most profound, she gets to interview the most incredible people on the planet. I think that she has seen a lot, overcome a lot, both from her socioeconomic level and where she grew up, and making it as an African American woman in broadcast television when she did. I just
Yeah.
think there's like the wisdom has got to be endless.
But if you did get to that point where that happened, I just couldn't even imagine seeing Oprah Winfrey walk into a room.
No,
Like you would
no, I
just,
would lose it.
I mean, like every shred of pop culture that we know of, in one way or another, comes back to her, whether she interviewed or people see her as herself. It's like she's just such a looming figure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
wild. So let me ask you this. Every day you wake up, you not only are helping people, but you also have to evolve as a person yourself. What's that
correct.
motivation for you? What gets you going every day? And what
Mm.
gets you at the end of the day saying this was a good day?
Yeah, I this is where like I definitely get out of the woo-woo realm. I'm like, it's the very simple, small things, the daily routines, habits, behaviors that are everything. So what that looks like practically, years ago, like I said, before kids, I don't know if you have parents that listen in, for kids, I had a very luxurious morning process. These people say, go meditate, go do breath work, go stare at the
Hmm.
sun, drink a gallon of water. I could do all of that.
Yeah.
Now I am a mom to twin 2-year-olds, so it looks very different, and I
Right.
run a business and all the things. So I find that it does not have to be a long duration of time. We're talking things that take 10 minutes or less. So I have this activity that I take my clients through called brain flossing, where we basically get your thoughts and your feelings organized for the day. So it gives you 3 practical items that if you only did those 3 things, it would move the needle forward for you to feel successful, whether you're reaching towards your business goals, your relationship goals, or whatnot. And then maybe it looks like at nap time, when the kids are napping, I get to do like a 30-minute at home workout.
Yeah.
The days of like going to the yoga studio are long gone. So
Yeah.
those disciplines really make a difference. I notice when if I don't do them, that's when like my mental health will slide, or I don't feel on top of my game.
Yeah. So what's been one of your favorite client success stories?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Like I just talked about, I do work with creative entrepreneurs, and there's two. On the business side of things, I worked with a brand spanking new massage therapist. So I think, like the wellness industry gets a bad rap of like, do those people even make any money? Those yoga instructors, chiropractors, whoever. And she had obviously just started, so wasn't making very much money. And then within 3 months of us working together, she was generating $5,000 months in her business.
Wow.
So that was my business excitement, because I love working with new entrepreneurs. On the personal side, I had a woman that came to me. She was in her early 50s. She was in an abusive marriage for 25 years. She and her husband owned a business together. So now you've got adult children involved. You've got decades of ingrained relationship and psychological behavior with another person. You have a business. You've got your finances all meshed up. Within 6 months, she had filed for divorce. She had started a completely new career. She lost 50 pounds. It was
Wow.
like the biggest, yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, of all of the things that you've done so far, what are you the proudest of?
It's a good question. I think, I came to me right away and I was like, no, find a better answer. I think it's being a mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I take a lot. What juices me to get out of bed in the morning is a lot of the business and freedom stuff. I am like a free spirit at heart, but I would say being a mom is the most present
Yeah.
that I've been, and it's just an incredible experience.
Yeah. So, let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of you. You can give that
Yeah.
young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained up to this point in your life. What advice would you impart on your young version?
I would say start investing in the index funds early. Even if it's $50 a
Uh-huh.
month, put it in the
Right.
index funds.
Yeah. Yep. If only we could live it backwards, we could Benjamin Buttons it, we could figure it all out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so everyone out there has a perception of you. There's all these pockets of people, family, friends,
Uh-huh.
clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Ah. I think I'm somebody who is innately built with a lot of color and vibrancy and adaptability. So I think those are my superpowers.
Yeah.
I think I was brought here in this iteration to champion for the underdog, to champions for people's dreams, to help them see what they can't see before maybe they can.
Yeah.
Um, and to do so with like a little bit of humor along the way. I, like most everybody else, have experienced hardships. I think that's probably what most people don't assume when you see people, whether especially in this online space. You see the finished product, you see the polished graphics,
Yeah.
and I've been like everybody else you respect in the world. I've been to hell and back. I've had a lot of big life experiences that have been incredibly painful, and so I think when you look at people in the online space, you just want to know that there's always more to it, to where they are.
So as somebody that's helping creatives, what art, whether it's visual,
Mhm.
literature, music, what's given you comfort throughout your life?
Oh, I would say it used to be writing,
Yeah.
writing for sure. And it still is a thread line, like journaling. I've written a book, so like that feels relevant to say. Most recently, we are part of a community out here in Southern California. I don't know if your viewers are familiar with Burning Man,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's a big, large scale art exhibition. And so we have a big group of us that go and participate. And since that, I went to uh, my first event 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Since then, I really like to do large scale art installations.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So there was a big rainstorm last year, right? Are they going to still
Yeah.
do it this year?
Yes. And that was the one year we didn't go because my sister got
Wow.
married. So I know.
That's
I
good.
know.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I heard horror stories. It just wouldn't stop raining and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's good they're picking it back up because I heard rumblings that possibly they were going to put it on hiatus. So it's good that it's coming back because it's been, I mean, it's an iconic thing now,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It's
for
not
sure.
going anywhere, I don't
Yeah,
think.
no, no, I wouldn't think so. So if anyone out there wants to hire you, get your book, learn more about you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah, everything is so my name is Lauren Page. My website is lauren-page.com. On Instagram, you can find me at laurenpage.says. And those are probably the two main avenues. I'm very approachable. Send me a DM, send me an email. I love to connect and hear people's stories, answer questions. And that would be the best way to go.
So final question, what do you like the best about living in San Diego?
The weather, the
Yeah.
weather for sure. They call it the sunshine tax for a reason. It's very pricey to live out here, but the fact that we can be outdoors year round is a big deal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was there, it was always the clouds had to burn off. There was kind of
Oh, in the
this,
morning, there's that
yeah,
time of the year where they call it the marine layer. Yeah.
yeah. But it's beautiful out there. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with
Thank you for
everything.
having me. What a
Yeah,
joy.
my pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye
Take care.
bye.